Hi, I'm Philip Hathaway, the Talent Professor. Welcome to this edition of the Talent Workshop. Today we're going to be talking about self-perpetuating talent. Self-perpetuating talent. Well, that's interesting. What does that mean? Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute, but first I'd like to say that sometimes people ask me if I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm not. The only thing I want to do is motivate you to use your talent, but motivation is usually transitory and based upon excitation. And it actually, in a lot of cases, can cause disappointment because people get all excited and hyped up and they jump around and scream and yell, and that usually goes away in about 3 days. So a lot of motivational speakers are great, they're good, but I don't do that. I do something else that's permanent, that is self-perpetuating, that is autocatalytic. And to illustrate what I'm talking about, I want to talk a little bit about this book that I wrote. It's The Little Odyssey, the retelling of Homer's Odyssey in heroic couplet. In this book, I talk about how Odysseus is marooned on the Isle of Calypso. This is after he's fought the Trojan War. And he's doesn't have it so bad, really. I would trade places with him. He was living on this island with the most beautiful woman in all the world, goddess Calypso, and she is in love with Odysseus. She's got this big crush on him, but Zeus and the Olympic family isn't too crazy about her marrying a mortal, so they disapprove of it. And Odysseus really longs to go home to see Queen Penelope, his wife, and his son, Prince Telemachus, and back to his kingdom of Ithaca. So he decides to go ahead and leave, even though Neptune has a curse on him, and if he gets in the ocean, he's in big trouble. But he builds this raft anyway because he longs to see Penelope so much. And he gets in this raft and he fights the open sea for 18 days, 18 days exposed in the element, navigating by the stars. And this wide open ocean trek is very demanding, and he's doesn't get to sleep any for 18 days in a row. And finally, on the 19th day, he spies land. But just as he spies land, something happens. A typhoon comes, and these ocean waves are like mountains that are rolling over him and breaking his raft apart. And then an ultraviolet bomb of electricity explodes and almost blinds him. And he's fighting, and his clothes are being ripped off. He's struggling so hard, and he's freezing. And his raft breaks up, and he dives into the ocean and to swim towards shore, and he's pressed down under the ocean in this briny sea salt, and he's struggling to get up, and he tries 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 to get up to the surface to breathe, and he involuntarily inhales all this salty sea brine, and he finally gets to the surface and gasps for air. And then he struggles in the storm, and he grabs a hold of a rock near the shore and is holding on to it, and a wave comes and crushes him, and he rips his hand off that rock and leaves skin on the rock. And he fights and fights and fights until he finally gets on shore. And he lays there limp. And in my book, I say, the sand, I kiss as ne'er a woman. That's the way I felt when I returned to my talent. I kiss the sand as ne'er a woman. That's how wonderful it is to use our talent. So, who needs motivation after that? It is the most wonderful, mesmerically beautiful experience that we can just about ever have on this earth. So, who needs motivation? It's self-perpetuating. It's self-perpetuating. It's autocatalytic. autocatalytic. That means it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. So you don't need external motivation. Once you use one of my talent journals, it will open the doors to this type of experience. And while it won't tell you exactly what your talent is, and that's not the objective, no one can tell you what your talent is. Only you can find that in your unconscious mind. But then when you start to use your talent, then you can experience this wonderful magnetism. You're never forced to neurotically command yourself to do something you don't want to do. You're irresistibly drawn, very comfortably drawn to your talent. So that's self-perpetuating talent. Well, thank you very much for being with me in this edition of the Talent Workshop. I'm Philip Hathaway, the Talent Professor, looking forward to seeing you at the very next Talent Workshop.